This right here is what's responsible for every single artist's success in the music career, and honestly, in the entire entertainment industry. This. No, it's not a gun. It's the action of what I just did there. That was an analogy for one word, which is so powerful. Surprise. Surprise is doing the unexpected. And in this video, I'm going to show you 4 different ways of the many ways in which you can use surprise today to elevate your music career and make you stand out from the rest and make you pop off today if you actually implement one of these. The first way in which you can use surprise is surprise collaborations. This is when you collaborate with musicians, meaning people who play instruments, other artists being singers or rappers, producers, celebrities, or anybody that you can collaborate with to make a piece of content or music. And this collaboration, like in any form of surprise, must be unexpected. That is a key here. This to me might be the most powerful way to enact surprise, and I'll list you a whole bunch of examples. Kanye West, Paul McCartney, and Rihanna, 4 or 5 seconds.
Make it right home by Monday.
We also got Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne with Take What You Want. Blending heavy metal music with pop rap. We also got Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus.
I got the horses in the bag.
Not only are these cross genres coming together with country and rap, but also 2 completely different age groups. We got people who are middle or past middle age, and another guy, Lil Nas X, who is in his early 20s. Completely different audiences coming together. We also got Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg.
Just roll me up and smoke me when I die.
So why do surprise collaborations work so well? Well, number 1, for the obvious reason, it is unexpected. And it's unexpected for both fan bases. This is one reason why this here is one of the most powerful. Is because when you have a collaboration with one audience and the other, 1 and 2, both audiences are super surprised by this collaboration. And what you're doing is, the more polarizing the 2 genres are, or the more polarizing the 2 audiences are, the bigger the potential is for this song to pop off, of course, if the song is actually good and it makes sense and it blends together, because you have double the size of a fan base. There are less of a chance of these people having cross similarities in a fan base, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if you had Drake and Kendrick Lamar collabing on a song, ironic, I know. There's a lot of Drake fans who are fans of Kendrick Lamar, and likewise for the other. But in this case, when you have Ozzy Osbourne and Post Malone, 2 completely different age groups and demographics when it comes to a fan base. You might have 5 million fans and 5 million fans join together to make 10 million fans, compared to 5 million fans and 5 million fans, but there is a similarity right here where this right here is 3 million. What I like to think about is, when it comes to collaborations that are so unexpected, on paper, it's kind of like, well, walking past an ice cream shop and seeing the ice cream shop say ramen flavored ice cream. You'd be so curious, you would have never expected it, you're surprised, and therefore you would want to try it, because you'd wonder what that tastes like. In this case, listening to a song or watching a music video is free. So in the title itself, the title is, from how unexpected this collaboration is, the bigger the power. Because this right here will create a lot of curiosity, and curiosity is what drives people to engage. So the next way in which you can implement surprise into your music career is surprise releases. So for this one, it is mostly effective for artists who are already established and have a large enough fan base to where people would actually care about a surprising release. But if you're a small artist and you have a small fan base, a surprising release won't spark enough attention to roll into like media pages and news pages, if that makes sense. But this is something just to keep in mind when you do reach that level, to the point where this can be very powerful. So what is a surprise release? It's exactly what it says. It's when your fans are used to a regular release structure and you break that structure with a surprise release. Or you go stagnant, not releasing music for a while, and instead of building hype or giving a teaser to your audience, you just drop the song without anybody knowing. Think of it as a surprise party. But you can't use this one too often, because if you use it too often, just like any form of surprise, just like any prank or any surprise, if you keep surprising people too much, then you'll have a problem where people will expect it and your surprises just become boring after a while. Well, not boring, but expected. And that defeats the whole purpose of being unexpected. I mean, one example of this is Drake's album, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. And I'm sure you understand now that the impact of having a surprise release heavily depends on you having a strong enough fan base or a large enough fan base to where that actually matters. So making this more powerful, what you can do is actually link a surprise release with a surprise collaboration just to make this even more powerful. A double surprise. The next way in which you can use surprise in your music is surprising components within the music. So this is when you surprise the listener within your music by creating surprising moments within the song. So there are many, in fact, unlimited ways in which you can do this. And once you understand the principle of this, you can use it basically in unlimited ways, as I've just said. One example is of XXXTentacion using 3 or 4 different ways of expressing his vocals in one song, Going Down. Vocal expressions. So this is so powerful because in a single song, people are getting variations of vocals just like people would do in a collaboration where there's 3 artists. That's so impactful because people love novelty, people love to be re-stimulated, people love it when there's surprising moments in the song, and this really does it for them. X and Ski were one of the first few people who had that way of rapping in their songs, and it was so novel. So experiment with your voice and see how many vocal expressions you can create and implement into your music. And the next one is one that we're all familiar with, and that is beat switch ups. And one of the most famous beat switch ups is Sicko Mode. And they did it in a very unexpected and surprising way where there was a sample that was building up to a drop, and when the drop hit, Drake rapped for about 1 bar, and then the beat switched up into a completely surprising and unexpected beat switch up to where Travis Scott was rapping on a completely different beat.
Going on you with the pick and roll, Younger Flame here in Sicko Mode.
That there was one of the first times in which I feel like I heard a beat switch up. Like that was for me the first time I heard a beat switch up from my memory. Another example of surprise being used in the components of your music is when Yeat had his song I Don't Give a F with Drake. The beginning intro was of some ethnical vocal sample of a lady singing, right? I remember sitting in the car when my friend was playing it and I was like, oh, this song sounds pretty good, but it's not rap. It's not what you usually show me. And then all of a sudden there was a beat switch up, completely different to what I was expected to hear. And that in itself was extremely surprising. The thing is that everybody wasn't expecting it. The female vocal sample in the beginning wasn't even a part of a beat. It was completely different. And that's why it was so good and so perfectly executed. Why does this work? Well, there are many ways to implement surprise into your components. For example, random beat switches or tempo switches, or going from 4/4 to 3/4, which would be crazy, or hi-hats going from to triplets. There are millions of ways in which you can do this, but these are one of the most impactful and historical ways that this was implemented into music from what I can remember. And honestly, if you can think of some, list it down below for the inspiration for everybody else. I do want to mention that I do have a coaching program where we coach people on how to implement stuff like this in your music career. It's individual to each person. So we have myself and other people who work as a team to try and help you and explode your music career. Well, that's the intention, that's the goal. However, we only accept within 10 people a month. We used to accept between 12 to 15. We're trying to minimize how many people join our coaching services because our goal is to really help you, and we're tired of having people who are not serious. And therefore, if you feel like you're serious about this and you want to take the next step, go ahead and apply down below and see if this is meant for you. Anyways, back to the video. So the next way in which you can implement surprise into your music career is through surprising content. And this is also known as shock content. Examples of this is Miley Cyrus and her music video, Wrecking Ball. I remember watching that music video where she was just on a wrecking ball she was wearing clothes at first, from my memory. And then halfway through the song, I remember it so vividly. She was naked. And also she had a buzz cut, which was also another way of being surprising through your imagery. Completely separate and free point for you guys there. But that surprised me, and I was traumatized from that. But hey, it made me talk about it to my friends. And another example of surprise use in content is XXXTentacion and his music video, Look at Me. Everybody knows what I'm talking about here. From the start to the finish of the music video, surprising elements was used throughout. Even when it comes to the advertising. Before he dropped that music video, he released a fake video of him hanging on rope on Instagram. Everybody was surprised by that. Extremely controversial. Not saying you should do this, but hey, it brought attention to his music video, which he dropped soon after. In that music video, there was a segment where it looked like he was in heaven, and then there was a girl with a a dildo on her forehead. Everybody was talking about that in reaction videos, and then it switched to a very gruesome video of a boy hanging another boy on rope, okay? Very gruesome, but this is just an example of surprise used in content, also known as shock content. And look, you don't have to be controversial with this. You can just contradict what people are used to seeing, and that's enough to be surprising. For example, Oliver Tree in all of his content uses surprise because he makes videos that are so weird and out of the ordinary and basically just does whatever people are not used to seeing. For example, people are used to seeing somebody ride on a scooter that is of normal size, but he rides on one that is like 3 to 4 stories high. And this is very surprising and forces people to watch it out of curiosity. Mr. Beast does this in his YouTube videos. A lot of content creators do this in their videos. Surprise works throughout the entertainment industry as a whole. Kai Cenat uses surprise when he's always doing random spastic things in his videos. Speed as well, doing backflips in his videos, jumping on the screen, barking. This is all stimulus through surprise. People love it when things are unexpected. It's funnier, just like when somebody farts at a funeral. It's funny. Guys, utilize this right here if you want to gain attention. You're playing it smart if you learn how to use this, and you're not just playing the lottery ticket game by just releasing music and music videos that don't have any elements of surprise. Because another way of surprise, which you might not be, well, is different to all of this, is exceeding expectations. Basically looking a certain way or presenting yourself in a certain way and exceeding people's expectations by making music or music videos or anything that is way beyond people's expectations. That is a form of surprise. 1900 Rugrat, I keep bringing this guy up, uses this in his vocals. He's a white guy, he's skinny, and then he had a dirty, raspy, deep, grudgy voice. Something that nobody was expecting. So there are millions of ways in which you can use surprise. Just understand the power of it and utilize it in your music career.